Yeah, so leaving the MTC and heading to LA, to New Zealand, it was a very stressful experience for me. I was very excited until, we landed in New Zealand, and that's when I had second thoughts like, wow, is this really what I want to do? So that's when it really sunk into me. When we arrived to Vanuatu, it was just crazy looking out at the islands. I thought it was so beautiful, and I thought to myself like, wow, this is where I'm going to be for the next 18 months. And when we did land, I was thinking to myself, whose farmland are we landing on? Because it was just like a big old field, and to me at the time, it seemed like this really small house. So I thought it was just a farmland we were landing on. So I was just like confused, and that's when I, come to realize like I really am in the middle of nowhere on this little teeny island. And we get off of the airplane, and all I can remember was how hard it was to breathe because of how humid it was. So when I got there, it was, their summer. It was in the middle of December, and it was super hot. So right when we get off the plane, we're just dripping sweat. And I was thinking to myself again, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with this for the next 18 months? Like, I've never experienced this heat before. And then we meet with my mission president. He was super nice to us because my luggage was lost. It was still in New Zealand, so he was so mindful and just asked me, like, how am I doing? Do I need anything? Is there anything valuable in that other suitcase? So that can be common for you if you do go serve in Vanuatu, maybe in any other island mission, is your luggage being lost. But thank goodness my grandma prepared me for that. So she made sure that I halved like my garments and my clothing and towels too. So that was something good my grandma helped me with. But we get there, and I speak with my mission president. The next day he tells me like who my companion is, and he tells me like where I'll be serving. And I had no idea it would be a different island. I was just told like your next area will be on a place called Espiritu Santo, and next thing you know, early in the morning, I'm on a plane, a little small jet plane, that can fit like about 2, 4, 6, 8 people. So I was the only sister with all these elders, so it was a crazy experience. My first time flying on something so little. And then we get there, and I meet my very loving companion. She's from the Philippines, and that day she just welcomed me into our new home. The house was, she and the other sisters she was staying with, they tried their best to clean the home, but the home was just filthy to me, like just really filthy to me. So we spent that day or so cleaning it on our knees, using like the scrubbies we would find to clean the toilet, or not the toilets, the bathtub. So yeah, it was a crazy experience. The roaches the first night really freaked me out. It was really like big and a flat one. I seen it only that very first night I stayed there. And so yeah, it was quite an experience, quite a culture shock for me landing there.
So I left the MTC on Sunday, and that is very, very rare. Most people don't leave the MTC on Sunday. They leave on Monday or on Tuesday or even on Wednesday. And so it was quite the shock, I guess, for the travel office at the MTC. Me and one other elder and I went to the airport together. And so we jumped in the MTC van and drove to the airport, and we got to the airport, and the MTC worker left, and we went to check in, and the lady asked us where our visa was. And we said, we don't know. And so we had to go back to the MTC and get our visas, and we ended up leaving a day later. And the trip took 28 hours. We flew from the MTC in Utah to Los Angeles, and from Los Angeles to New Zealand, and from New Zealand to Port Vila, the capital of Vanuatu, or on the main island called Ifate. And flying in, I flew into Vanuatu. It was 4 months after Cyclone Pam, and Cyclone Pam, they say that it smashed Port Vila, the main capital. And when I flew in, there were no trees taller than me probably, and it was completely just destroyed. And it was almost kind of disappointing, I guess, to fly in there and be like, oh, this isn't as pretty as I imagined. It was still beautiful. It was still an island and the ocean was there, but it had definitely, you could tell that it had been hit by a cyclone, and there was a lot of damage that was done. When we got off the plane, you could feel the humidity like that. It just hit you like a wave. And we walked down from the airplane onto the tarmac and walked into the smallest airport I had ever seen at that point in my life. And we got our luggage, which they threw through. They took off the airplane and threw it onto a little tiny conveyor belt, I guess, that went around. Picked up our luggage, and we walked out onto the other side of the airport, and that's where the mission president and the two travel elders were waiting for us. And we hopped inside the mission van, and we drove straight to the mission office, where we had our interviews with the mission president and met the other office missionaries. And then the assistants to the president, two elders that helped the president, took us on a little tour around the island of Ifate, and we were able to see a little bit more of what Vanuatu really looks like behind the resorts and the cruise excursions. And then after that, we went to the mission president's house and had an arrivers dinner, where we were able to talk with the president a little bit more and his wife and get to know them. And then we were sent to our areas. And that night, I met my first companion, who was from the Solomon Islands. And the day after that, we got to work.